Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, where we'll be discussing achieving business agility through lean portfolio management. My name is Doug Welsby, and I'm the channel manager here at Wickersoft. I'm also joined by my colleague, Jose Levy, our practice director of Azure Cloud Services and Agile PPM. During today's webinar, attendees will be on mute and the line will not be open for questions. However, feel free to use the GoToWebinar question feature to submit questions. I will address these questions during the webinar and will respond via email if we do not get to your specific question. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away from the webinar, no need to worry, as I will be emailing a link to the presentation once it has been posted to our YouTube channel. And with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Jose, who will be handling the webinar.
Thank you, Doug, for the introduction, and thanks everyone for joining. We're going to be talking today about business agility and lean portfolio management, and it's incredible timing of us putting on this webinar because we're actually speaking to you from the SAFe Summit in San Diego, where the Scale Agile Framework 5.0 was just introduced, and it includes key concepts in business agility and driving agility within the organization through lean portfolio management. Thank you, Doug, for the introduction. And today we're going to be talking about achieving business agility through lean portfolio management. It's a very good timing on our behalf for this webinar, given that yesterday, SAFe 5.0 was put in preview mode and includes the business agility layer as part of the overall framework, and it's tied to lean portfolio management. So let's get right into So in terms of a quick agenda, we're going to be talking about business agility as a priority for the enterprise. This is now what all organizations need to aspire for. We're going to address how we get there through lean portfolio management. We are going to talk about how we transition to lean portfolio management from traditional project portfolio management practices that you may have. We will cover our one-plan solution for lean portfolio management and then have some takeaways and action items. So speed of change continues to accelerate. This is the case really in all industries, all markets around the world. All enterprises are being forced to accommodate greater delivery timeframes, greater customer centricity, and technology is only making this even a greater imperative. It all starts with teams, and multiple teams within an organization will have to scale to the enterprise level. So there's great work being done collaboratively in agile fashion. When we put it all together, it gets to the enterprise, which means that we need new models and frameworks for bringing all of those individual teams at enterprise scale. We are driving cross-functional collaboration and also integrating non-IT staff to integrate all of that work. And that's part also of what's coming in new SAFe 5.0, because we have been addressing through agile development value streams in our IT organizations for solutions. And now that same way of working and delivering value needs to be performed by everyone in the organization, not only development value streams, but also operational value streams. So that's part of addressing the need to scale all work in the enterprise. So business agility is the end state. What does that really mean? So within SAFe 5.0, it's actually defined as you see here, there's three major points. We need to compete and thrive in a digital age. Again, that need for greater acceleration. We need to quickly respond to market changes and emerging opportunities. And most of them are defined by our customers, by our competitors, by the market, by disruptions that our organizations are facing. And the third is you must deliver innovative business solutions. So there's innovation, which means that you have to incorporate that within your solutioning, and that involves design thinking, that involves a number of other components. And the business solution means that also you're going to be delivering digital capabilities to the organization. So every organization needs to have, business agility at some form as their end state. In order to address that, Scale-Agile Inc. released yesterday SAFea Lean Enterprises 5.0 in preview. In January, it will be as general availability in January 2020. And most notably, we can see that within the framework, we have business agility at the very top. Business agility, which is going to be measured, which is going to drive everything else that happens within the organization. There's some changes that have occurred within the model. Some things have been added, some things taken away. Some simplification is generally the same. I think there's improvements that have been made, and we'll talk about that, the concept of business agility as it relates to portfolio in a second. If we focus on it, the first two layers have to do how leadership, product owners define values top down. Bottom up, we have our teams that are working. We meet in the middle, if you will, when we talk about programs and features. But value streams is really where the definition of those value streams is really where the focus should be, because that's really where the organization transforms into a product from project orientation. And the portfolios of the organization really contain those value streams. So that is of critical importance. At the beginning part, want to highlight that the foundation level is still there. We have our strategic themes and our portfolio definition of portfolios, in that as demand comes in from our customers, we develop that portfolio backlog using the tools within lean portfolio management, work within our lean budgets and guardrails, and then execute our lean portfolio Kanban for our epics within the value streams. So here, the biggest change is really now that we have a business agility as an objective. We have a way of assessing where we are, and we can start that journey by addressing lean portfolio management. So the other big change, and we have actually been talking about this for a few months, is that lean portfolio management start can occur at the beginning of a safe implementation roadmap. So, what that means is that if the organization decides to move forward, and you have gone through and identified the agents of change that are going to carry out this initial step in transformation, executives can be trained, leaders are set. That's when you can actually then begin with lean portfolio management. If you note that the following step is identifying value streams and arts, which in itself is, that the major change in productizing your digital solutions. If we're talking about your applications and solutions that support the organization, you're going to go through your program planning, creating the implementation by program planning, going through launching your arts, and then you will extend as you define more arts and value streams. Because again, lean portfolio management is about defining portfolios that contain value streams and arts. So I think the one takeaway from SAFea 5.0 is that now lean portfolio management can start as a first step for the organization. Some very interesting concepts in SAFe 5.0, a notable one that is really incredible rationale for initiating lean portfolio management is the concept that customer centricity can be impaired by organizational structure. And there's some very interesting theories on why that occurs. And by having the Scale Agile framework operating, whether it's at the lean portfolio level or at the program level or at the team level, we're actually focusing on customer centricity and customer value, and breaking down the barrier that our organizational structures can create by having functional silos inhibit collaboration and permeability within our cross product teams. Another interesting concept is that we're really at the tipping point, and we need to drive innovation, because we are in a major change in terms of being in the age of software and digital, where every organization really will become, to some extent, a software company. Important concepts in driving business agility within the organization. In the end, what we're looking for are benefits of Scrum and Agile at scale, which means that we are defining objectives and key results for what we're trying to accomplish. And it should always be defined early when you're deciding to actually go in this direction. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes now and do a quick lean portfolio management framework refresh for those folks that haven't seen it before. But the SAFe LPM process, I've simplified it really into 3 components, and within this, if you've seen our prior webinars, we go into a little bit more detail. But the initial elements are your alignment. In other words, your strategic themes, which are now objectives and key results, the definition of the portfolios, and then lead budgets and guardrails for defining horizons and the amounts of funding that are going to be placed into your portfolios. The second step is the portfolio Kanban, and that really operationalizes lean portfolio management, because it provides the buckets in which our epics are going to be coming in as ideas through an epic hypothesis statement, and then are going to be developed through lean business cases in our review analyze stage. Selection actually occurs in analyzing. Prioritization occurs also through WSJF, which we covered in our last webinar. And then what we have is a portfolio backlog that we can prioritize and start sending now to our teams as we go into implementing. When we go into implementing, now we are really looking at how epics are evolving through our program backlogs and our program increments. And then finally, we can see their completion in the done stage of the portfolio Kanban. Throughout, what we will have is a portfolio roadmap of how those epics and their value streams are progressing. And you'll note within that portfolio roadmap that we're talking about a horizon of 3 to 4 years, because we're looking at how products within those value streams are going to be evolving. So it's a slightly different way of looking at portfolio management, because we're considering or implementing elements of flow and lean into our decision making on products and delivering customer value. So what I'd like to now transition is to one plan for lean portfolio management, which is our one plan solution. We believe that by implementing SAFe LPM and through the use of one plan for lean portfolio management, you can accelerate adoption. So one plan for lean portfolio management is a solution that reflects SAFe 5.0 principles, and is it supports organizations that want to scale, go to Agile at scale, and benefit from an Agile PPM solution. We support Azure DevOps, as well as many really other team and program tools that are in the market, because our focus is really more of a top-down approach on lean portfolio management. We have, 4 characteristics really that stand out for one plan, which where a modern solution is very reactive. It's HTML. You go into the page, has very the configuration is very, very easy and straightforward, very easy to user interface. It's integrated in the sense that you can bring tools, any team working tool, to actually use a solution and bring data from the teams that are working. It's collaborative in the sense that you can integrate Microsoft Teams and other Office 365 capabilities directly within the solution, and it's best of breed in the sense that we are reflecting, latest and greatest thinking in terms of frameworks and capabilities in the market. The one plan portfolio management really focuses on five main capability areas. We're going to manage portfolios as we define them and deconstruct them into all the different areas. We're going to have the ability to see work plans that are coming in from the team areas. Financials and resources, at the end of the day, are what drive decision making into delivering customer value. So there's a heavy focus on that. And finally, you can't really decide on the trade-offs on delivering value without having very good insights and reporting, and through views and the use of Power BI, we make that happen. I have the lean portfolio management process reflected within the tool. We have within the solution have a configuration specifically for LPM, and it's flexible enough that if your organization has slight modifications in the way that you're actually adopting LPM,
So what I'd like to do now is go through and give you a quick overview of the solution. So we should be seeing the one plan for lean portfolio management landing page. So this is one plan for LPM. And I have here a fully expanded set of plans. So in this case, what we have done is we actually reflect portfolios in the hierarchy. You can actually have any hierarchy that you wish to reflect within the tool. So we have portfolios defined. Portfolios are going to break down into value streams, which are going to have epics, and which are going to have features. We will bring all of the feature data from whatever system you're currently using. So if you're using Jira, using Azure DevOps, that data will actually come in from those tools into one plan. Within lean portfolio management, you actually have very specific artifacts for defining your hierarchy. So portfolio has a portfolio Kanban, value stream has portfolio canvas, a value stream canvas. Epics have epic hypothesis statements in the first 2 stages of lean portfolio Kanban. And you also have lean business cases that we're going to use. So all of those are actually reflected within the system. The area that we do not want to actually address is really features, because that is the area that's going to come directly from your team tools. We have project here because you could have non-functional requirements or other plans that are going to be done in waterfall mode. So, we do have the ability to integrate that through Microsoft Project or any other tool that actually does waterfall scheduling. So within portfolios, I'm just going to go ahead and focus on value streams just so you see what happens. And here I'm looking at specific value streams. In this case, we've actually incorporated development as well as non-development value stream. So while upgrades and migrations as a value stream has a number of projects, okay, which again, one plan has the ability to bring in the project exactly as it's track, plan, and track in Microsoft Project, we also have the ability to do non-development value stream. So a customer channel could be a value stream that actually is not about development. It's actually about running the customer channel value stream in the organization. So we also have the ability to define that, and you can see that here. We'll go to, within lean portfolio management, epics is really where everything occurs. So we're going to go here and just show some epics. Here's projects. So here we have the cloud and mobile first portfolio. We have Fabricam, and within it we have specific epics that have been defined. We will show in a second how we go to our portfolio backlog, but here at the epic level, we can see exactly where those epics are, whether they're in funnel, and whether any of the features that have been defined are scheduled for any specific PI. They have been sent down to the teams. You can see that our program increments are showing. If you want to take that epic down to the program level, you can within lean portfolio management. We will have participation actually from the product owners and teams in the first stages of your lean portfolio Kanban, because investigation and definition of that wisdom actually occurs by the teams before implementing. So, it could be that folks are working on the definition of features for the epic before it actually goes into the portfolio backlog for implementing. So that's where we're going to get our wisdom value in order to do our prioritization, and then know whether we need to actually move a specific epic into another bucket within our lean portfolio Kanban. So from here directly, we could actually be taking this epic and moving it into, reviewing or analyzing, depending on how much work has actually been done. And reviewing is where we do our epic hypothesis. Analyzing is where we're going to complete our lean business case. You could be also, working on a specific on one of your specific portfolios. So it could be that we are not. I just want to focus on one specific portfolio. So we'll just do customer experience again. I include this one because we are in SAFe 5.0 for lean portfolio management. We're addressing how we take operational value streams and actually include them within our portfolio. So now we're not only talking about development value streams, but it's interesting because we have the ability to have budget and benefits, and then have roll-ups for value streams and portfolios. And one area that's not reflected here, which we will incorporate, is our strategic themes, in order for you to see how this particular portfolio is contributing to your strategic theme. For every one of these, we have the ability to define a plan and see the details behind each. So we'll take this epic and define details, and really want to show you just a format of the lean business case. So we have the lean portfolio Kanban showing. We actually have the primary metadata for our epic, and then the lean business case is below, which is what you would be completing as part of your analyzing stage. If you wanted to actually, have data come and roll up from your team tools, you could do that also. But here, at this stage, when we're defining epics, we could be doing this just top down. So, and moving an epic to another stage after completing it is easy as coming in and just selecting it within our Kanban. There is workflow that can drive also the experience. So it's a matter of just defining how you want to use the tool. So I'm going to open up Cloud Mobile first, and this is more of a development value stream. And in this particular case, we actually tie it to Azure DevOps directly. So these features are actually coming directly from Azure DevOps, so we can actually bring those values of completed points from even as low as the stories, because we're really rolling up information in order for us to have then actuals for every one of those features. I'm going to take a step here just so you can see. I'm going to open up our team, so you can see how we can actually integrate one plan directly with team. So collaboration is one of the principles of lean portfolio management and SAFe in general. So for that, what we do is we integrate one plan directly within teams. And you can see here that for this particular value stream, we have Azure boards. And you can see that one plan is directly integrated here. So we will go the same content that we were looking at earlier for our value stream and BEPEX. We can see here directly. Okay, so this is a financial planner that you can actually can be configured to incorporate any cost types and categories that are required. You can see that I'm directly, inputting values, editing values within the solution. There's a number of controls that allow me to define budget, track actuals, and define forecast, date ranges in terms of what I want to work with, and so on. Our resource plan is really the most important part, because what we want to do is, as we're defining the epics, we need to go top down to understand exactly what capacity is. In fact, lean portfolio management is really about managing the capacity of the teams and understanding the trade-offs between selecting epics and the value that they will deliver versus the capacity that we have internally. And here at the team, we can plan at the team level. We are showing here hours, percent, and FTE. The end goal is to understand out of this the value delivered by if you're using story points, the number of story points delivered by increment compared to the allocated hours of each team. To have the cost per point. That's kind of the end goal, and it's very aspirational goal, because it takes a lot of discipline, data integrity by the teams to be actually reporting accurately within the team working tool, whether it's Azure DevOps, Jira, or any other. We do have the ability to do individual resources also, not only team resources. So you can see here that we have that. And then the team tools are very important. So we have integrated Azure DevOps directly, and here I'm doing it on the fly so you can see how it works. And essentially, as I'm looking at my epic and all the different within the different iterations where each one of these features are, and here we are working directly with an Azure DevOps. So if you wanted to actually get into a specific feature and see its status, you can do that. So again, accelerating the ability to look at the data, work with the data with one plan. That we can list with Teams, which is the main collaboration platform for Microsoft, any solution. So we have one plan, we have Azure DevOps, and then even reporting if you wanted to have your Power BI reports shown here. So that's the integration of one plan and Azure boards within Teams to drive greater collaboration. I'm going to go back here so we can move to really looking at our lean portfolio Kanban. So the lean portfolio Kanban Again, at the highest level, LPM deals with epics. So these are epics that we have defined within our buckets: funnel, reviewing, analyzing, portfolio backlog. This is where these have been approved, essentially, and what we have to do is prioritize them, and then implementing, at which point we have actually handed them off to the teams and the program owner for execution, the Scrum Master that's managing the program for execution. Done, we would be tracking, benefits that are coming back from the execution. We do have a backlog, so wherever you are defining demand can be done, and you have your backlog that then comes into funnel. One very important concept that I forgot to mention earlier is that lean portfolio management stresses the need to have WIP controls at every one of these. Now, the only one that would not have it would be funnel, because funnel is where we encourage ideation and innovation of our products. Within reviewing, analyzing, and backlog, there would be WIP limits. What that means is, we will not be able to work on anything else, for instance, in analyzing until, if we have a WIP limit of 3, we will not be able to move anything into analyzing until anything in analyzing is actually moved into the portfolio backlog. So that's really defined by your capacity and by the ability or organization to actually execute on those epics. So within here also you can see that we've summarized the values that have been defined for these epics. So in reviewing, you're going to actually define the epic hypothesis statement, as we said. So it's really the top portion of the lean business case. We have it here entirely reflected, but essentially, we're getting to in the epic hypothesis statement. What we have to do is focus on that business outcome hypothesis, our leading indicators, and most importantly, our MVP features. So what is it that MVP is going to deliver? Once we have defined that, we can go into analyzing to do the full completion of the lean business case. So we're going to be moving our epics, prioritizing them and moving them. We can then, when we get to implementing after having them sent to the portfolio backlog, we can then go to program planning. And in program planning, we are dealing with features and program increments. So program increments is basically the quarterly breakdown of the work that's going to be done, and the increment itself is going to be broken down into your iterations or sprints, whichever way you manage it within those 3 months. So your program planning event is really about defining the features are going to be delivered by these PI. So in this case, PI 1 for 2020 has one feature. That means that this feature is going to be expected to be delivered by March, the completion of PI 1 in 2020. If we use a calendar year, it would be March of 2020. And so on. You'll see PI 2, PI 3, PI 4. The status of them you can see is showing here, and also metadata. Those controls are at the top of our board. And you can also define, different fields that you want to show, whether it's the priority that was defined, estimated start and date, and so on. We can include data within it, and you can see if we wanted to actually look at the specific details within it, we can either do a quick edit and look at the data. Team priority had it at 1, the estimated story points at 6. All of this data is going to come from your team planning tool. So Lean Portfolio Management deals with epics. When we get to program planning, we want to rely on stories and features that have been defined within our tools. There is an integration that one plan has to make that happen. And even within these, if you wanted to actually look at the resource plan that was developed when the feature was done, and I don't think we have any here, but here's what we would actually, if we wanted to actually add a team, we could. And just an exercise, I'm going to go through here, and then I would going to define percent. And here we're looking at months. So I would say, for this particular epic, I'm going to put team 1 100%, and I'm going to put team 2. Now, all these values are going to roll up, and that's what's going to allow us to see where the overcapacity is for a portfolio, which I'll deal in a second. So this is going to be for our this particular feature, and I'll go here and add the team into this. If you wanted to actually bring the values from your planning tool, you can into the backlog so you can see them. But most likely, we recommend viewing it, integrating it directly, and viewing it in the team planning tool again, whether it's Azure DevOps or Jira. So as we planned, we're going then to be able to look at all of our resource plans cumulatively for all the work that we've done. And I think this is the of using one plan, because we have done all of our lean portfolio management. If you're looking at the top for our epics, the teams have broken those epics down into features and stories, and all of that then gets translated into work that folks are going to have to actually complete. And we can see here what's happening with the epics that have been defined and the features that have come underneath. If we open this up, we can see where folks are actually working. And at this point, we are planning at the epic level or projects, if you happen to actually combine both, so you can see where the over allocations are. And you see here that team 3 seems to be the one that is mostly affected by the work that's being planned towards the end of the year. They don't have anything scheduled for the beginning of the year, so which means that they could be working on epics that are going into implementing. So if we could get back up to our portfolio level in our epic summary, we can look at all of our epics together for the organization, and there will have features underneath, and then see collectively from a portfolio standpoint how we should be prioritizing these. So one plan does have a prioritization capability, and I think this is again one of the benefits of using the tool, because you can actually use the WSJF values in order to stack rank your epics, and then make decisions in terms of well, if this particular epic here, improve user experience, is actually rated higher, has a higher WSJF value, we can actually pick it up and move it to a higher rating. I will move this one up because it has a higher value. So improve user experience has gone up. It's proposed if we have completed our work as part of reviewing and analyzing, then we could actually take it to active. If we are if we are within our WIP limit for our implementing stage. And we're still in funnel here, which means that we could then take it and put it in reviewing if we are ready to define its epic hypothesis statement. So the other capability that I want to highlight is using the same concept of prioritization. By the way, we have Gantt. I did not mention that earlier, but at any point you actually can see what's actually going on, the timing of the timeline of delivery for a specific epic. I'll go ahead and turn that off for now, because what I want to focus again is on resource planning, because here all those estimates that were defined actually can then be seen on a summary basis. And again, we can actually look at capacity or actuals by hours, percent, or FTE for whatever time frame we want. And it looks like in this case, for the epics that have been defined, we are within the range of commitment. So it doesn't seem to be any issues there. And then the other concept is, if you actually are planning within defined budgets for your epics, we have the ability to have targets that you can see the impact of having selected or moving forward those epics. There is a primary budget that we can see where all the totals are and whether we are above or below our thresholds. What we could do is, if there is a particular epic that is not delivering value, so service interface and support rest, I'm just going to do this as an exercise, but you can select, deselect, and then see what happens to the corresponding values within your budget. After doing that, you can actually, either create a new target or save a scenario in order to then have, the organization execute based on that prioritization and selection. So I'll go ahead and turn my financial prioritization off. So that's a quick overview of our one-plan solution for lean portfolio management. And as I said, we can reflect any plan structure that your organization wishes to execute on. And again, the benefit of using Teams as a collaboration platform allows you to accelerate working with teams on specific items. Here I went directly, so it's the same exercise that I did earlier about being able to look at the solution. That action actually can also occur if we have Azure DevOps integrated directly. So any of the tools are going to show here as within one plan directly. Okay, I'll go back and we'll finish with some key takeaways. So as I shared earlier with our SAFe 5.0 that was released in preview yesterday, business agility is now a component of SAFe and also a transition or an end state that for the organization that starts with lean portfolio management. So some things you can do, and actually SAFe 5.0 includes a business agility assessment where you can actually define the level of business agility that your organization has. After that, what you're going to do is define your implementation roadmap. So what is the best approach to scale agile in your organization? And the goal should be the customer centricity, accelerating the delivery of customer value through products in the organization with innovative business solutions. You're going to then begin your transition to lean portfolio management. And, you can actually take whatever legacy project portfolio management that you currently have and basically begin to use a lean portfolio Kanban and use artifacts for new projects as a first step for lean portfolio management. You don't necessarily need to shut everything down and start fresh. Just incorporate the practices initially and move towards lean portfolio management. In the end, what we want is having that roadmap, implementation roadmap, to transform the organization to that product orientation and customer value focus. So if you haven't heard about us, our Wickersoft is a full service business transformation partner. We have advisory, solution, and operations that span all of the services that we provide. We begin with transformation A lot of that is done through assessments and change management planning. We continue with our solutions, which is our one-plan solution, which I just showed for lean portfolio management. And then finally, we have managed services, managed delivery capability that has the ability to continue supporting your process with staff augmentation, training, and support. Just additional qualifications, Microsoft is the Global Partner of the Year for Product and Portfolio Management for 2019 from Microsoft. If you are a Microsoft shop, you should be talking to us because we have thought leadership and in the project portfolio management space, as well as SAFe, and with our one-plan solution and some of our other capabilities. So, as a next step, we propose that you undertake a business agility assessment walkthrough. So as part of SAFe 5.0, there is actually a survey that you can actually take in order to define how you currently meet your areas of business agility. I'm showing there a graphic of what comes out, the Radar Health assessment for business agility. That will lead us into then understanding the type of implementation, transformation of SAFe that you need to undertake, and the steps towards lean portfolio management, which is really the first step that you can actually start towards your SAFe transformation journey. So more than happy to engage in dialogue and walk you through, how all of those components are arrived at from an assessment standpoint. And then existing Microsoft customers will have access to one plan for LPM. So please make contact so that we can show you how to enable that capability. If you like to have a personalized one-on-one demo, you're not part of our organization, please make contact so we can arrange that. We have a number of webinars that are scheduled, so please stay tuned. There is a roadshow that is going to happen after Ignite, which is a Microsoft technology event in Orlando. There are some new products that Microsoft will be launching in the project space, and we will be doing a roadshow to update customers on the best way to leverage those new products and services. And then please make contact if you have any inquiry regarding any of the lean portfolio management and business agility frameworks that we presented today. So with that, thank you very much for listening, and look forward to speaking to you again.